that never gets old. I love me that animation a little bit more every time I notice something different, like the skeleton playing xylophone on the other skeleton's back. Like that's
it almost syncs
top
up
quality.
Most, but not quite, but close enough.
That's xylophone, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
You know, he's not rocking out some fucking beats on his mate's corpse, basically. I mean, they're both dead, but they're both alive. So I don't think there's any. By the way, welcome to the Poproast podcast. We're just fucking around. Like, who cares? It's fucking spooky month. Any of us could die at any moment. So just say what's on your mind. And if it happens to be about skeletons playing percussion instruments on other skeletons, do that. How you doing, George?
Fucking great, man. I got a cold again. Got the sniffles.
You are roughed up. You've had a bit of a roughy uppy week from the sounds of it, or at least some parts of it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Another weekend, another fucking trip to a noisy, fucking sweaty venue. This time I was not
told
playing.
You not to show up at my house.
Yeah, well, that's how it goes, right? But yeah, this time I was not performing. I had the pleasure of watching good old Party Fresh Titans fucking Municipal Waste. Yeah, it was fucking stacked.
Shit.
Well, yeah, it was 3 bands. It was a nice like mix of a bill. You had a band called Undeaf that were like more like old school death metal, 90s like or New York hardcore. But they got a hardcore blend of death metal, whatever. But yeah, they got their own sort of thing going on.
Yeah, we don't split hairs with the metal genres, man, because we all get eaten alive. People will, whatever you call it, somebody will call it the other. Somebody will call it the other thing, because as hardcore as that music may be, there's nothing more hardcore than those fucking crazy internet metal fans. So be careful. But go on.
But yeah, there was them, and there was Gel, which is like a female-fronted hardcore band. They are more like traditional, like hardcore punk style. You'd probably dig them. Yeah, they're just fucking got a lot.
I don't know, man. I think we should keep women out of rock music, to be honest.
Oh,
we all saw what happened to Kurt Cobain. So, you know, the less we can have that, you know, then the more we can have quality bands like Municipal Waste. You know what I'm saying? I'm kidding, of course. I'm sure they're great. I'm totally going to check them out.
Yeah, they're sick. I'll send you some links. Yeah, they got a couple. They got a female guitarist, vocalist, and the dudes. Yeah, they brought it. They've been sort of blowing up a bit, so it was mad to see like the response. It was almost as crazy as Waste themselves, who are like renowned for bringing the party vibe. They've got an album called The Art of Partying, which is, you know,
yeah, they're a fun one, because they you know, you don't often get like the party vibes with your hardcore, or you know,
always some guys can be a little bit too serious, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, they always have a laugh, and it's funny because they are like known for encouraging stage diving and crowd surfing. Like
in this day and age for health and safety.
Yeah, well, they have a song called Wave of Death, right, which is about that. And for that song, they always like to encourage, you know, more, you know, the maximum amount of, you know, surfing as they could get. And there's a fucking sign on the side, no crowd surfing, that we see on a pillar. I was just like, that's not going to work. And of course, we were with, you know, Sam Bill, who's like notorious for surfing the waves of bodies. You just you can't stop him. He's always doing it. But yeah,
just getting tubular with all them bodies, mate.
Man, he actually took like inflatable fucking like rowing boat dinghy to Hellfest.
He's wearing the little fucking water wings. He's fucking swimming around.
Literally a fucking inflatable boat. I'm pretty sure he had like oars and everything. And
that's great. That's so good.
I wish I could see the footage of that. But anyways, I got drunk enough to get involved in the proceedings in the pit, which I don't.
You were the navigator on the boat, like.
I wish I wouldn't have been fucking battered and bruised, mate. You got to check this out. It's fucking dirty.
Oh, mate. It looks like fucking Greenland. Like, what's going on? Like,
yeah, it's a new tat.
Greenland was purple land, you know?
Yeah, it doesn't really.
Yeah.
The camera doesn't do it justice, but yeah, I got beat up a bit, but you know.
Fuck, man.
I'd say to use the term mosh retirement. I've been in mosh retirement, and a couple of times this year I've been brought out of mosh retirement by some of these newer bands and older shit. You know?
So what are you doing when you go to all these fucking? You're out there, you live in the high life. You're either the performer or the performee. You know, it's all exciting stuff. But when you're watching one of these bands, if you're in mosh retirement, what are you doing? Because some of these times you're driving.
Well, yeah,
well, right? So you're not drinking all the time.
Yeah, when I'm generally sober, I'm just like going most of the time anyway. Nowadays, I'll have a couple drinks if I'm not driving, and I'll get somewhere near the pit where there's a bit of space and I can actually see the band. And I was just like, you know, also it's just kind of fun sometimes to just like watch, you know, see the crazy fuckers just going at it in the pit as well. So I just normally stand to the side of the pit or somewhere around there. But with municipal waste at this venue, which is not a tiny venue, but it was, you know, it wasn't massive either. But there was a good, I'd say like 500 people at least. And
did you say it was in Islington? Was it Islington?
Islington Assembly.
Yeah.
Which is a venue I haven't been to before. But yeah, it was decent.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole crowd.
I went to another venue there not long ago.
Yeah. Yeah, if you were anywhere within, you know, I'd say the first 20 rows of people for waste, you were just getting swung around, you know, like
yeah, you're in there.
You're in it pretty much. But
I mean, yeah, that's fair.
It was fun, but I've been feeling it, and like I say, a bit of a cold and shit now, but yeah, it was worth it, man.
Yeah, man. Some big dude probably had a big loogie on his fist as he was swinging it around.
Oh no, I didn't have it then. I come down with it since. I think that was the beating, like my fucking immune system.
That's how you got it though. That's the other dude swinging around, flinging fucking phlegm flinging, or I don't know. Is that a thing? Phlegm fist. You know, got that poison damage going on.
Yeah,
you know,
nice.
It's brutal, man. Like I don't really do the mosh pit that much anyway. But also, like, you need something. You can't smoke in these places anymore. You know, some of us are old enough to remember when you could. You know, it's a battle to get to the bar as much as you want to get to the bar. You know, I'm a man of culture, George. I'm a purveyor of the arts, but I can't just stand there and listen to music. I need to be doing something, you know, like.
I feel like your feet and your legs get more tired if you do stand in one spot for more than like, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. And then you start like, when you're in your 30s, if you stand there for too long, you start doing the sway, which doesn't really fit the vibe of municipal waste.
Not always.
You know, it's not the best, but glad it was good shit. Can't remember the name of the venue I went to in Islington. It's just not in my brain, so I'm not even going to waste your time.
Was it in a shopping centre by any chance?
No, it was like,
because that's the O2
Academy. It was the small. It was like a small, like it was more like a small pub venue. There was like downstairs. There was it was like an old English pub, but also they they served Mexican food, and then upstairs it was a venue. But
Sweet.
anyway, that was good stuff. Yeah, man. I had like chili beef, loaded fries, and you know, got a
Who
couple
did
of
you see there?
pre-drinks. Skating Polly.
Oh, all right, sweet.
Yeah, like young, like up and coming, like grunge band from I want to say Oklahoma, but don't quote me on it. Don't quote Lahoma me on it. So anyway, yeah, no gigs for me this weekend. Thanks for asking. Or last weekend, depending on when you're listening to this. By the way, go and click like and subscribe. Leave a comment. What bands have you seen this year? You know, how well would you survive in the mosh pit? What's the gnarliest bruise you've got? And can you show it on the internet without shame? Anyway, so yeah, while you're out swinging fists and getting wasted with the waste, is that a thing that they say? If you're a fan of municipal waste, that should be. Do they call the
There's
fans
one.
wasters? No.
No,
Get me on the
apparently
marketing team, guys. Come on.
they have the quoted line, municipal waste are gonna fuck you up, which is yeah,
Catchy.
that's
Yeah, that's good. I mean,
yeah. And they always do. They never fail to. But yeah, I was meant to ask, man. Sorry, but I feel like you got a segue now.
no, I haven't. I'm not queuing up for anything.
All right.
Ask away.
Fair
We're
enough.
just we're freewheeling today. We're having a good time.
That's cool. So what have you you've been watching some stuff? I know
Yeah.
what you got out to watch, but
Yeah, well, some of the stuff that we're going to talk about, we both watched some of it. Only one of us watched because the other one was out having an exciting life. And, but one of us didn't get fucking punched in the arm by a fucking gorilla. So, what are we going to... We're not going to split hairs. So, yeah, while you're out doing that, I'm chilling at home. And what appears on... I do believe it is on Amazon Prime, but Matrix 4, Matrix Resurrections, which I didn't catch at the theaters.
me neither.
I wasn't chomping at the bit to go running out to see this straight away when it came out. Was that last year now?
Yeah,
I think it was like last December. I think it was just December release last year. Like, what a weird fucking time. Don't get me wrong, you can have sci-fi in December, but yeah, there's not a lot of joy in the Matrix 4, George. Like, not on the screen, not from behind the camera. Like Keanu does some of his best acting, like, which, depending on who you ask, isn't like a massively high bar. No disrespect, but he's got a station that he kind of operates very well in, and anything else like a Dracula, it gets fun.
Bloody wolves.
Those bloody wolves, mate, they're fucking wolving away, nipping at me bits, bloody
blue pill wolves.
Absolutely. Anyway. So he's in.
How'd it go?
So yeah, we get Matrix 4. It's a bit long. And so, and I don't know if I could talk about. I don't want to go too spoilery because you might watch this. I know most people have probably seen this. Yeah, so I won't. Yeah. I'll just give you like roundabouts. But so what's his name? Tom Anderson. He's just living out a life. He's in a skyscraper. He's working at this video games company. Just no memory, or mostly no memory of the life that he lived or that we know him to have lived. But he's the like Bill Gates of like video games. He's like one of these most successful like creators of the new world, and the game that he's made is called The Matrix, and it's established throughout the film, throughout the first chunk of the film at least, that basically the entire plot of the Matrix, the 3 Matrix movies, he's basically made verbatim as a video game, including the likenesses of himself and some of the other key players like Trinity, who's also just this regular like mum. She's just living in in New York City. Keanu Reeves, he goes to, drink his coffee in this coffee shop because he likes her, but he doesn't want to go and talk to her. There's this this whole like tragedy of lost love kind of vibe that carries through the whole movie. It's actually surprisingly was the strongest part of the movie, which, like I say, coming from Keanu Reeves, isn't necessarily what you'd expect, or from a Matrix movie either. Yeah. And if you want like Matrix stuff, and you want action, and you want head fuckery, and you want to push the envelope of like what you can do with storytelling on screen and with visual effects and with fight choreography. Lana Wachowski doesn't want you to have that. I'm sorry. I think it's Lana Wachowski. Excuse me if I'm getting it wrong. They're both Wachowskis. I can't remember either of their names, apart from one of them is Lana, and
different names now.
I know it's Lara and Lana, whatever it is. Okay, sorry, ladies, but yeah. So they make a very, very strong point throughout this movie of making it clear how very much they hate the Matrix, how much they hate that they're doing the Matrix again, how much like the impact that it's had, like, and it's it's almost like a like a Kurt Cobain, as I referenced earlier, where it's like you grow to hate Teen Spirit. It's just too much like of what you're known for. You're pigeonholed into that, and that's kind of what people think. And it's like, okay, well, I don't want to return to that because people are just going to think that we're just mining a dead well. Is that a thing that we're saying with it now?
Dry well.
But a dry well. There you go. That's the one. Dead well, dry well. It's Halloween season. Everyone get spooky. Don't go in a well, please. And if you do, make sure you take the bucket down with you so you can drink. Anyway, so yeah, they literally so Tom Anderson is working for this like he's not the CEO, he's like the top creator dude making the game. He's the creative guy, and then there's like a CEO dude who's so obviously not going to be a villain later on in the movie, everyone. Okay. And they're like, listen, Tom, Matrix trilogy was great. Everyone loved it. The kids thought it was really cool at the time. And this is, I'm barely paraphrasing. Like, it is so obnoxiously meta. Like, and he's like, so we want you to make, who is under contract for us, to make us another Matrix game. And they're like, because that's what they want. Just give the idiots more of the same, more of what they want, more of what they remember. It's like, hang on a minute, you're talking about me. I paid to come and watch this movie, and all you're doing for like a good 3/4 of this movie is just talking shit about how all the people that want to go and see The Matrix 4 are just mindless fucking idiots. And how you hate doing it, you hate that you're doing it, and the only reason you're doing it is because Warner Bros. Told you. And this is said in the movie, like, very unsubtly. They say, look, if you don't make The Matrix for Keanu Reeves, we're going to make it anyway without you. Which is, from what I hear, exactly what Warner Bros. Said to Lana Wachowski, where they're like, look, we own the Matrix IP. We want to bring it back because IP is everything, right? It's the dead well that keeps on giving. And they're so it's literally just the disdain is just front and center throughout this movie. The action, and it doesn't have to be action, it could be like cerebral sci-fi, and that's fine. But obviously when you go and see a Matrix movie, you're expecting some kick-ass kung fu. And it's just such an afterthought. It's messy. It's not even like well shot. And it almost feels like it's done on purpose out of spite because they don't want me to enjoy this movie. It's literally, don't get me wrong, I love a big fuck you to the establishment here. But I also, these are like fans that have like built what your career has become. You know what I mean? And like, this is like the franchise that made you. And you don't have to do it. They're going to do it anyway. But maybe one of these new up and coming filmmakers would have actually come in with like a passion for the project, and maybe the Wachowskis or one of the Wachowskis not doing it doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, the death sentence that you might make it out to be. Jessica Henwick is in it though. She's great. She's really standout performance in the movie. Not given a great amount to do. You've got Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, I believe I got that name correct. He plays the new Morpheus. And he's not really given a great deal to do. It's just, oh, I'm what you remember, but not quite differently. Would you like to have this pill anyway? And it's just like, so you're going to say that you hate it and you don't want to retread all the same ground, but also you're just going to retread the same ground. So like, cut your nose to spite your face, Wachowski. Anyway, was not as good as Municipal Waste, I would imagine.
Yeah, now that you say that, I do vaguely recall hearing about, you know, the talks and, you know, yeah, basically them just having a pop at everyone through the narrative of this fucking film.
Yeah, so you can Google like Wachowski interviews about the Matrix from the last 10 years, and you can line it up with the dialogue in the movie, and they're basically just saying everything that they think or that they want to say or whatever, which is fine. This is art, and that's kind of the point. But also, you're not
self-expression.
Man, you're not going to put chili powder in the fries just to prove the point that fries are basic bitch food. You know what I mean? Like, if you're coming to eat my fries, I'm going to make sure they're the best damn fries that I can make. Like, meet me halfway a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, so I was kind of disappointed. Very long, not a lot going on apart from just misery and disdain. But Keanu Reeves is good in it though, and he does. And I was waiting for the whole movie. I'm like, I guarantee at some point in this movie, he's gonna get all his skills back, and he's gonna say, "I still know kung fu," and he fucking does. He says, "I still know kung fu," and it's like, that's exactly the kind of like low hanging fruit that they're commenting on, right? But then
they put it in there.
But it's like, at what point does doing the thing that you're trying to like satirize against, does it just become the thing as opposed to a comment on the thing? You know what I mean? And I think they got a little bit lost in there. There's some great visuals. There's some cool visual stuff. There's a couple of cool throwbacks to like characters from the older movies and stuff, but the plot doesn't really do anything or go anywhere. Neil Patrick Harris is like just kind of predictable, and as you would imagine Neil Patrick Harris to be in a Matrix movie. And I love Neil Patrick Harris, by the way, but if you haven't seen this movie and you think about like what would Neil Patrick Harris play in a Matrix movie, that's what he does. He's a smarmy prick with an ulterior motive. Spoiler, but not really.
All right, I don't feel like I need to see it now, so cheers for that.
I mean, by all means, go and see it. No, he's not like the big twist reveal. There's not really a lot of that. The plot's not concise enough to kind of change direction. You know what I mean? Like the other one, like the original did, and even the sequels. For better or worse, they take what they want to do and they fucking run with it. And I like those. I like the second and third one. I think it's a perfectly fine trilogy. Obviously, the first one's better, but when is that not the case?
Very rare. Very seldom.
Yeah. So hopefully, some of the other stuff that we're going to talk about today might be a bit better, might be a bit more interesting or exciting. So, what are we talking about, George? Because normally I'm the one with the fucking list, but you got the list. You want to fucking do the list? You do the list.
I got a list. Yeah, so we're going to be talking about a couple. Yeah, it's a horror-centric episode, of course. Most likely he's going to be all month. Sorry about that if you're not into horror. But yeah, we both got out a couple times to our respective theatres, and yeah, we're talking about Saw X or Saw 10. Everyone I've heard refer to it as just Saw X, but yeah.
I've never heard anyone refer to it as Saw 10. I actually had to do a little thing in my head the other day where I was like trying to count them all. Right? Yeah, it's the Roman numeral. Don't worry, the math is solid, George. They're fine.
Yeah, I would have thought so.
But I just couldn't remember if there had been 10. But anyway, what else we got coming up?
We're going to talk about the Exorcist franchise, and namely Exorcist Believer. And we've got a couple of recommendations of older, not so old, some other horror films.
We got your back, and we want to give you good shit.
Yeah, we'll give some good shit to feast your eyeballs upon and get scared shitless. So
yeah, and hopefully not to lose any eyeballs in the process.
Yeah. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be back after these messages.
Boom.
Wanna go psycho with me, Elvira, here at the Bates Motel? You can be my guest at Universal Studios in Hollywood for a monstrous bash at the Bates Motel. Shower, anyone? This Halloween, go psycho with Elvira and win a party with me at Slice. Slice! I just love that name.
Great party, isn't it?
After prime time, bitch!
The doctor is in. Don't scream. Don't move. Stay tuned for Channel 68's Halloween Eve Movie Marathon.
Moving on. Because if you like to see a movie, which sometimes we like to do, or sometimes we did in the past tense, you could say we saw a movie, which was Saw. Is what we saw. So yeah, this is fun. Like, there wasn't as much hype around this coming back as I feel like there could have been. To be honest, I feel like the Spiral movie kind of, I don't think it damaged it, but I feel like if there had been no Saw between the last, Saw proper and this one, then maybe there would have been a bit more hype for this. But anyway, Saw is back, everyone, and we're bringing back Tobin Bell. We're setting it in between 2 and 3, I think, or 1 and 2, so that he's still alive, because everyone wants to have a face that they can recognize, and apparently the creepy little doll wasn't enough. Directed by Kevin Grutart.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kevin.
Good.
Don't have a weird name. Anyway, this was made on a budget of 13 million. I don't know. This looks like it cost a little bit more than 13 million, maybe. Currently, it's grossed nearly like 50. We're on like $44 million at the time of recording. So it'll probably hit 50 or 60 by the end of the week, I would imagine, which is a pretty good return. But as for returns, George, was you excited to go and see this?
I wouldn't say excited, but I was interested enough to go to the cinema because, it's there. But yeah, you mentioned your boy Kevin Grutart. Of course, I'm probably butchering that name as well. Don't mind me.
We love you, Kevin.
Sorry, my fucking nose is running like a fucking faucet.
Running away because of the way you said Kevin Grutart.
Yeah. So he's been involved since the beginning. I believe he edited most of.
Yeah, no, he's a mainstay of the franchise, but he's not one of like the 2 or 3 like head people who were kind of running this franchise. You had
Like the
Lee
creator.
Winnell, is it, and James Wan
Yeah, the original.
and whatnot. And I guess this guy was the heir apparent to the franchise. It's like he's the next best thing we can get to somebody who wants to come back to this, I guess.
Yeah, I was, there was interest. So, yeah, let's get into it, I guess.
Absolutely. I'm in the same boat as you. Like, I wasn't excited, but I was like, I'm interested to see what they do. I want them to do it well. It'd be really cool if they could bring this back, like, in a good place, you know what I mean? And like really recapture the because that was a special time, man. The early 2000s, those Shaw movies are hitting. Like they were like the talk of the town for a little while there. They really were. It was something different that we hadn't really seen before. Like people kind of scoff or kind of marginalized like the term like torture porn or whatever. But that first, I'd say even the first like 2 or 3 were really doing something that we hadn't really seen before, and they did it fairly competently and effectively. And so now we come back, fast forward 20 years later, and we're bringing back Tobin Bell, who, as we know in the franchise, died of cancer, brain tumor. It was inoperable, etc., etc. But they're like, how can we get this guy back? Let's make it a in-between-quel. I think is the technical terminology for that one.
Yeah, I believe the exact timing is, from an interview I've read, it was 3 weeks after the events of the first film.
Okay, so this is right after the first one, which is interesting, because there is some stuff relating to his character that I won't get into now. We'll wait until a bit later for spoilers. But there is some stuff where you can put together pieces of his development, like they've retroactively kind of made it work, kind of, if you want to give him credit. So he hears about some experimental treatment. It's like he sees a guy at is it like a cancer support group or something? Just to say up top, how do you feel about like the first sort of half of this movie? It's very different vibe to what you come
it doesn't
to expect
feel like you're
from a
watching
Shaw movie. So how
apart
did you
from-
feel about that?
I mean, I was like, I could see that they were trying to develop, a bit more of his backstory and whatnot. But I was kind of like, all right, get on with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I was like,
it was very much a tightrope, wasn't it? Of like,
we all
which
know
way
why
you
we're
wanted
here.
to go.
Yeah.
As much as like you want to malign the torture porn thing, at the same time, we're here for some fucking torture porn. Like, let's go. Yeah.
I guess. But no, it just seemed a bit slow to get to it. But yeah, we'll get into that about his mate who he bumps into, which kind of, in a way, this does kind of mess with the timeline when you think about it, because I'm like, when were these meetings taking place? Because he says, he's going through. I don't want to jump the gun, but like, obviously, that was, they're in the support.
Yeah. Can we wrap up this meeting? I've got to get back and make some bear trap helmets. Like, come on, let's get going here.
Yeah. I don't know about you as well. There was a line that got a nice little like laugh. Right, I need to get past the plot where you were at anyway, talking about the plot. So you're in the support meeting. There's a fella there who says, what type of cancer does he have? I'm guessing it's abdomen or bowel, because you see the scar afterwards.
Oh, the other guy, he has the chest scar or whatever.
So yeah, he said he's like stage 4 anyway. So
Yeah, not good.
assume
So he says.
he hasn't got time. Yeah, there's a lot of like speculation around this character because I was just like, I don't want to give out spoilers, but
There is something about this character that I didn't know until right before we started recording this show, and I'm looking up the movie just to refresh my brain, a little bit on some stuff, and I was like, oh fuck, that changes the game quite a bit, but I don't want to get ahead too much. But yeah, we start off and it's very much like it's introspective. It's just very much like trying to be a bit of a character study. We're just kind of sort of, just a day in the life of Jigsaw. We're just following him around. We're kind of seeing the despair. He's great in this, by the way. He would have every right to be completely like checked out and just be doing this just to do it, because what else is he getting asked to do, right? But you can tell that there is obviously some stuff in here that is like, yeah, I can get on board with that. I think, to be honest, I think the first half of this movie was probably laid out that way to appease him, or not him specifically, but just to like, we don't want to just feel like we just want to get you back in for some cheap torture.
It seemed like he was trying to develop the John Kramer character as opposed to him as Jigsaw, this like heartless, moral, fucking god complex, fucking
yeah.
It does build, it's trying to make him a bit more of a sympathetic character, which I guess they had hints of that before.
Yeah, and obviously he's like the main character, but also he's never really been the main character, even like, like a Halloween or a Nightmare on Elm Street, you wouldn't say that Freddy or Mike were the main characters as such, and the movies are definitely not told from their perspectives. So I thought that was quite refreshing here to get that. You almost forget like what this dude is into, what he's up to for better or worse. Like you say, we do kind of just want to get to it, but I appreciated the swing to like not just jump straight into it, and when they do, it's kind of staggered, like they kind of build up into it, and we do get to be a classic Saw movie by the end of it. Don't worry, everyone. If you want to see Saw traps, you're gonna get Saw traps. This isn't just this isn't Gran Torino with John Kramer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Gran Torino. Yeah, we're moving that plot on anyway. As you're saying, you see this guy in the support group. He's saying he's stage 4, maybe bowel or some abdominal form of cancer. I assume I'm wrong, but fast forward. John Kramer's sitting outside a restaurant. He bumps into.
Just happens to see him again. Nothing suspicious about that.
Yeah, and he seems to be very chipper, and he's doing great, and he spills the beans on this
experimental treatment, this secret Mexican clinic, whatever it is, that apparently only get clients from just people happening to bump into each other in the fucking street. Like, what kind of business model is that? Anyway,
I love that he's like, with the link, and then he's like, gives him a pencil because that's a point. He's sketching away, isn't he? That is fucking.
Oh, he's working on his fucking.
And he's like, rips it up, whatever.
And I'm sure if you look in those designs, there's probably like some little Easter eggs for like Saw 2, 3, whatever.
Oh, no, I'm pretty sure there was like the bear or the reverse bear trap or whatever it is.
There's definitely some of that stuff is like sprinkled in there. But at this point, like, who really remembers what thing was from what movie? People just remember there's traps, right?
Yeah.
And
so, long story short, he gets himself an appointment. He gets hooked up, and I I had to make a note of it because it just kind of cracked me up. When he has to go to Mexico for this, experimental.
Which I've got something to say about Mexico in this movie.
Yeah.
Right. So
Okay.
there's a cardinal sin in movies that has kind of come to prominence in the last few years. People have really started to pick up on this thing that is kind of weird and problematic and cheap. Okay. And I thought that this thing had been like referenced and memed so much. I was like, there's no way a movie will ever do this one particular cardinal sin again.
Spit it out.
But they fucking do it. So the second he gets off the plane, the fucking screen is yellow. Like, come on. Anytime in a movie we go to Mexico, it has to be in sepia tone. Like, are we still there in 2023? Like, make the atmosphere look spicy. Is that what we're doing? It took me out of the movie so fucking hard, man.
Not me whatsoever.
You didn't get it, anytime you
no,
watch any movie, they go to Mexico and all of a sudden there's this fucking browny yellow tint on the filter, like on the camera lens there. You know what I mean? Like, and I thought that there'd been so many references to this in the last few years where people are like, has anyone noticed that that's kind of like a weird racist thing that they do in movies? I thought that was the end of it. But he gets off the plane, he's in Mexico, and immediately everything's fucking yellow. Come on, guys. We know he's going to Mexico. You don't need to establish it. He's going to Mexico. It's on the plane. It's on the fucking airline thing. He said in multiple times, go to Mexico where the clinic... We know. Okay, you might as well hang up a piñata and fucking have some dude knocking up some chimichangas in the background. Anyway...
Okay.
He gets to Mexico.
He gets to
experimental clinic.
Yeah, and he's got a nice, fun little tour. His business detours.
Fucking, right? Yeah.
Whatever.
Let's point out, by the way, that when he calls up the clinic and they're like, oh, "I'm sorry, we're very exclusive. We don't have any spaces left." Mm-hmm. Oh, but we'll just fit one more in. Like, it's that easy. And then when he gets there, not only did they just fit one more in, but they had enough time for him to be the only one there and to get a personalized guided fucking tour around the whole medical facility whilst other people are having surgery contaminating the environment.
Yeah, you don't think any red flags would be alerted to Mr. Kramer considering, what he's just
considering
done
the mastermind... Considering the amount of like elaborate ridiculously, sure is known for like how ridiculous some of these like intricate plot twists are. Like, it's just too much, right? But it's kind of the vibe of the franchise, and that's fine. But this is the dude who thinks about all this stuff, and he's just like, yeah, I just walk in, that's fine. There's nothing weird about that. Secret experimental facility that cures cancer, but everyone's still dying of cancer. That's fine. And then they're just taking me in there while other people are having surgery where they conveniently had one last slot to fit me in. Right. And he's just walking around. Don't want
to say before we get there, what I was trying to get to was the fucking hijack before they get to the facility, which, I ain't going to jump the gun there, but like once everything's revealed, you're just like, so was any of that fucking necessary other than to hide the base of operations to whoever was going there?
All of that stuff is necessary to us as the viewers. It's not necessary to the people partaking in the plot of this movie, and they absolutely did not need to do that, really. No, and obviously we know where this is going. It's all in the fucking trailer. We know they're a sham company. We know that he's going to end up fucking trapping them all. Like, you can't fucking catch me out with a fucking taxi car heist. Like, come on.
To be fair, though, so we get there anyway. That was the thing that got the laugh was when he's talking to the surgeon. I can't remember her name. I made a note of it somewhere, but
who, like the head doctor lady?
Yeah.
Oh, we want to talk about her in a bit. Then it's going to get spicy.
Bitchy McGee. I didn't fucking. Left or something. I don't know. Yeah, she's like, so what are you into? He's like, I'm an engineer, architect, retired. I have some hobbies, and then like everyone in the theater was just like,
Yeah.
got some fun hobbies.
I mean, I say hobbies. I mean, he's done it like once at this point, really. I guess.
Well, I don't. Again, there's a lot of this like timeline jumbled up in a way.
Yeah.
There's more's obviously transpired than what we've seen in the even like the film, the early
Yeah,
film.
they keep it loose enough where they can do stuff. Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, moving forward, this is just like one of the funnest parts to me was right. So they rush him through to get him surgery, brain cancer, brain surgery, and tell him not to remove his fucking, surgical fucking.
Yeah,
band.
we want you to be able to experience this.
Yeah. And then it's just like when he comes to discover the DVD of the fucking like that was playing on the screen to give the illusion that they were actually operating on his brain, which is so fucking ridiculous when you think about
in
it.
2023, it's a DVD. Do you know what I mean? Like, why are you saving this stuff on a fucking
time? Remember?
Well, all right, fair enough. But even for 2003, if you're a shady ass organization, you're not recording that shit so you can fucking have people watch it and find out. Like, you would just fucking. There would be. I don't want to spoil it before we kind of get there, but there would be ways where you could do this kind of ruse without having to fucking implicate yourselves in like 10,000 different ways. You know what I mean?
There's so many like holes.
This head doctor lady, she's an absolute dickhead. I'm sorry. This character is like one of the worst. It's not overly well acted either. I don't feel like
it's comically like she's almost like a Bond villain.
Absolutely, level. And especially with some of the interactions with other characters later on.
Like, I can't pronounce the actress's name. It's like it's Synno, like an umlaut. She's Norwegian.
Yeah, there you go.
Macaulay Lund.
I think she's better in the first half of the movie, but as it progresses, just completely that character deteriorates into like just a 2D caricature, really.
Yeah. So evil it hurts.
Yeah, she kind of does. You know what she does? She does the same thing that fucking Susan Sarandon does in Blue Beetle, where it's like, I'm just a businesswoman. I'm just here to make money. But the second that I need to, I'm just gonna like revel in the fucking chaos and the
evil
and the evil, and just like, well, no, you're just like money. You're not a Bond villain. You just like money. You don't have grand plans of evil schemes or delusions of like all this grand. You just want money, and that's it. Like, and yeah, she was more compelling. A lot of this movie much more compelling. Weirdly, in the first half, without any of the murders.
Yeah, that's what I was going to get to anyway. Moving on swiftly. So we find out, Kramer's been fucking had out of 250k or whatever. And
which again, 250k to cure incurable brain cancer, and that's not a red flag to him. I mean, I don't have 250k, but that's not a lot of money for curing cancer, I would have thought. Like, you would expect, like, if somebody was going to offer to cure your cancer like that they would be charging 2, 5, 10, 50 million. Do you know what I mean? But he's just like, I got 250k. That's 250k. That's fine. That's all it costs. Anyway, ridiculous.
So he obviously, you know, he's mighty pissed that he's been had, so he sets out to, you know, track down
The people involved.
and every one of them, he finds them pretty quick.
He does find them pretty quick,
conveniently for the
very
audience.
conveniently. And again, he's out here in a different country, mostly kind of on his own.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's able to track down all these people that are involved, what their actual story is, where they live, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And
that was the first question I had immediately, though, was like he gets Diego is his name. He was the taxi driver, and he was also doubled up.
Oh, we haven't talked about the first guy.
No, that is him.
No, what the guy when he's
the trap.
The guy stealing in the clinic, is that Diego?
Oh yeah, no, sorry, yeah, because that's a bit of a fucking, because I didn't class that as a first, you know, trap or kill, because it's technically just a vision, isn't it?
This is fun, right?
Kind of pissed me off in a way, because I'm like,
as much as it was disappointing, yeah,
off of a dream or a vision, a daydream.
Well, wasn't I saying like last week or the week before, I love a device where events start happening and then it turns out that those events are not happening, like a dream device, you know, or like a flashback device. And as much as it was disappointing, spoiler alert, small spoiler, not really, to find out that the first classic like Shaw trap that we see, it's not actually happening. It's just John Kramer sees a dude doing a bad thing, and this is part of this whole like character study part of this film, right? So he just sees a dude doing a bad thing, and immediately his brain is just like, what can I do to this dude? How am I going to make this dude pay for what he did? You know, so he just sees the world in like elaborate Shaw traps, which is fun. And I wish we would have explored more of that, of just like, what is it like to be this crazy, you know, psychologically defective, you know, genius engineer dude with this like whole morality complex, and you're just walking around the regular world and you just see people going about their day, you know, and their lives. And I really, at this point, I was like, I'm disappointed that this trap isn't actually happening, but I was like, on retrospect, after watching the movie, I'm like, I wish that was the whole movie of just him just walking around imagining like how we, you know, just making regular people pay for like regular sins or whatever, you know what I mean? It's a great trap, by the way. It's probably the best one in the movie.
Well, I've
arguably,
because there was an article that I found by Dextero. I played. Do need to, you know, probably make a note of the sources to credit. But anyway, regardless,
we try.
Yeah.
Did you say Dexerto?
Dexerto.
This is exactly the same fucking article I've got pulled up.
Does it have all the traps? Yeah.
It has all the traps.
Yeah, all the breakdowns.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you, Dexerto. There you go. You've been credited.
Love your stuff.
Yeah.
Don't
so that
Exerto yourself.
You know, kicks it off. The eye vacuum, but it's just a vision. But when he comes to tracking down the people, the first person he finds is Diego, he's
the taxi driver dude, right?
But he also was apparently at the facility somehow as another part of the team.
To be honest, as this movie kind of progressed, I kind of started losing track of like who played what part in the whole ruse, and it kind of, you lose track of like who kind of really deserves what. Like they didn't really
it doesn't
scale.
It's funny you say scouts, just as I say that they're tipped like quite, you know, poorly,
dramatically towards
towards the people who really didn't deserve the fate that they kind of.
Yeah, because there's a couple of people in this that you actually start to like, and you just think like they do not deserve this.
No.
And there's some other people who definitely did like much worse stuff, who are getting the worst traps, and the people who fucking did really, bad stuff are getting off kind of easy. I mean, easy relative. I mean, we are still in a Shaw movie, but when you see it, like the incremental like increase between like sin to sin or whatever is just, it's kind of all over the place.
Yeah. So anyway, I tallied up this stuff. Not that it matters, but I think I'm going to try and start doing just bringing the kill count just for fun.
Yeah.
So there's only like 4 deaths in this film.
Not massive amount.
Which,
I mean,
it doesn't matter. I'm not.
Yeah, it's quality, not quantity, but I'm not sure if we even have that.
No, we'll get there. But yeah, obviously the first trap, and this is it. And like as soon as I'm like start to question things, like obviously, yeah, John Kramer's an architect, fucking civil engineer, whatever. He's got some skills. Apparently, he must be able to fucking perform surgical procedures as well, because he's surgically implanted these pipe bombs to your boy's arms. And then it's just, as soon as you see the scalpels sticking out of the fucking like duct tape, I was just like, oh, well, you know where this is going. And yeah, this is again a little point. Unfortunately, I saw a heading of an article before I saw this saying that Saw X outdoes Terrifier 2 in like levels of gore, and they were saying because Terrifier 2, infamously was said to have been, having people puking in the theater and stuff, and so I
wasn't getting that here. I was not getting that here.
And I wish I hadn't seen that, because in a way it kind of sets a level of expectation, for me. But yeah, I was any of the gore that's like, it's the same with previous Saw films. It's always like cringy, like sort of makes you uncomfortable to see them like mutilating themselves.
A lot of the time it's more like the extra stuff in the situation, like you're thinking like what would you do, or it's the fact that you're having to do it to yourself, or sometimes it's the fact that you're having these other people who are in the room with the trap and they're having to watch it happen. And that kind of stuff is more like icky to me than the actual like gore itself. It's the idea that you've got to just sit there and encourage somebody to like, go on, you can do it, you can cut your own arms off, like that kind of thing is more traumatizing to me than the actual the level of like horror itself, as far as like the visual aspect of it goes. It's more the psychological stuff. But these traps don't really pertain, other than the first one,
which he does make it.
Yeah, but they're not. After that one, they're not really relevant to like the people. You know what I mean? That was part of the fun of the original ones. Is like, oh, you like to look at things. We're going to take your eyes. You like to steal things. We're going to take your fingers. All that kind of stuff. Like when they got with the first guy in here.
It all relates.
But
to
after that, we just throw the irony out the window, and it's just like, oh, you like to you like to con people, so I'm just going to cut your head off. Like, there's no creativity in that. There's no irony. There's no, there's no fun to it in the weirdest sense of the word fun. Do you know what I mean?
But yeah, that's, that one, after that takes place, that's the one that I think the scene that everyone was hyping up as the goriest part. Once they've got
cutting the bombs out, that was not.
No. The next trap that we see is the bone marrow trap.
This was intense, but only because it went on for so long. I'm just like, just fucking shit or get off the pot. Like, this one didn't feel like it wasn't interesting enough to warrant it being dragged out that long.
Well, again, this is the one that I believe is the one that supposedly have people like puking up or whatever, because it is drawn out so long. She has like a giggly saw, like was like a saw on like a wire, almost like piano wire sort of thing that you have to like shimmy up and down, and she has to like cut her own leg off and then fucking shove a pipe in to extract enough bone marrow to tip the scales and turn off this machine that's going to decapitate her if she doesn't get it done.
Yeah.
And this is the thing I like. I don't want to jump ahead, but I have to, just to make the point of, I love the fact that these people go through all this self-mutilation to not
and they get caught out with technical issues. Is that what you're going to say?
It's the timer. It's 3 minutes on the timer on the two, like, the worst ones where they have to literally like perform surgical procedures on themselves, and then not only that, to have whatever the outcome of that procedure is, to take time to actually disarm the implement.
This is what made me laugh, because there's a couple of them in this movie, this one included, where it's like they basically got the game done in the time that they had, but it was the technical aspect of like, okay, now you've got to drop it on the scale, and then before the scale can like register the weight and count down, like the time's up. It's like, that's not her fault. She did what you asked her to do. And it's just because of the fucking delay on the fucking scales or the timers or the fucking rigs and pulleys or whatever. It's like, for a civil engineer, like, this stuff isn't as precise as you want it to be, and it takes the stakes out of it a little bit, because you're like, even if they do it, they might not make it. So then the investment is kind of gone, which is what I was kind of referring to earlier when I said about how, like, because there's a point in the Shaw movies, in the earlier ones, where I think it's in like 4 or 5, but they reveal in 4 or 5 that at a certain point earlier on in the movies that he stopped making the trap so that they could escape, and he was just like, these cunts need to die, and because they deserve it. And you kind of get a little bit of that transition in here through that, but it doesn't feel articulated. It just feels like, again, it just feels like sloppy engineering, and it's like, oh, okay, well, I guess I could have fine-tuned that a little bit so that it could have actually escaped. It didn't feel like it was for like a moral service as opposed to just like a an accidental one. Do you know what I mean?
No, again, I feel like it was almost more so just to carry the plot on. Obviously, there's a twist, and that's not accounted for in Jigsaw's plan, which sort of almost brings.
But also it is accounted for in his plan.
It's like he knew what they were going to do, so he rigged this extra shit. But I don't know.
Should we just like go open this up for full spoilers and like?
Yeah, I've already. Yeah,
like we're there anyway. So it turns out that they knew who he was, I think, and they brought him into the program as the one special extra guest because they wanted him to figure out what they were doing and kill everyone involved to cover their tracks.
Which they could have just fucking done themselves.
Which they could have just fucking poisoned everyone or shot everyone or just done this in a million other ways. But then it's revealed that he's like, I knew that you knew that, and I was playing you. And it's like, and again, I know that like the ridiculous twists are like a big part of this franchise, but for some, this one just felt like too soapy and just too.
It was very convoluted,
very ridiculous. And you've got the British guy, because you've got to bring in a British guy who I don't know if I hated him because he was just like a British guy, and we have some investment in like the dialogue and the action. You can tell when it's not written by British people a lot of the time, and this dude just stood out like a sore thumb the second he's in this movie. and then all of a sudden he's like he's the henchman to the Bond villain, and they're in love, and then like the big like where they always do that thing in the Shaw movie where they do like flashbacks to like things that people said, and then they tie it in to the end. And the clever thing that they come up with was, "I'd die for you, sweetheart." No, he wouldn't. That's it. And that's the twist. He wouldn't die for her. Okay, cool, because we all know that everyone's out for themselves anyway in this thing. Like, is that these? Yeah, it's convoluted, but at the same time, it's not. It's just nothing, you know.
I know. Yeah, again, that was a point. Right? We have another returning cast member.
Oh my God, we have Mr. Spock. Because that fucking hair, oh my God. And to their credit, it is the same hair that she had in Shaw 2.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
and people would, if they didn't do the hair, people would have said, "Oh, continuity error. She didn't have the." So I get it, and they committed to it.
Yeah,
but that is not it. That is not it, Amanda. Is it Amanda? That is not it. Amanda. This is.
Oh, fuck off, Amanda.
This is. It is so bad. That fucking Vulcan hairdo. And it's like, she's obviously older, you know, that's fine. No disrespect. How is John Kramer aged, like the actor, Tobin Bell? How is he aged like less than she has? And I'm not having a pop at her, but what I'm saying is if they can make him look fucking great and sprightly, they could have done something with her. And
sprightly, but yeah.
You know what I mean? But he looks pretty fresh for a fucking dude who died 20 years ago in a movie. Like, and she's just like, she's just in there for like the pop of like, oh, well, there's another character that you remember, but she was in the trailer, so there's not really anything to chew on.
Yeah,
there.
For a second, I was like, hang on, how's this? Like, so when did she get fucking recruited as his apprentice or whatever? But then
I do think with what the timeline and how the events line up, I do think they played fast and loose with it for the sake of just getting this story out there. But to go from
splitting hairs at that point as well,
splitting bad hairs, but to go from
splitting Spock hairs,
apprentices of the past to what I think is setting up maybe apprentice of the future. What we do, we bring in these two villains because we say that it's not enough that we're going to root for the villain, because we're from the perspective of the horror villain, right, of this movie, and they should have kept it that way instead of like trying to one up him and bringing in like an even bigger two villains, because it just doesn't work and they just come off as cartoonish. But then to make them even more villainous than he is, what can we do? These guys are gonna bring a kid into the trap, which is something that he wouldn't do, but they do it because it's the only thing that we can do to make them seem worse than him, right? And I did like that trap, actually. I thought, well, not the trap, but I liked
bloodboarding.
I liked the dynamic with him, like putting himself under to save the kid and kind of show where he's like clearly where his line was. And then when he says to the kid, "You are a warrior," right? Calling it here right now. In a future movie, that line is going to be one of the flashbacks, because one of the characters in the next Shaw movie is going to turn out to be that fucking kid who's carrying on the work of Jigsaw, because that kid is fucked up for life. There is no way that kid is gone.
Fucking hell.
Or maybe, did you see Spiral?
I didn't. I can't remember a fucking thing about it.
Okay, but maybe, and I don't know this, but maybe that kid is the killer from Spiral. It's probably not, but they could do that if they wanted to. But I guarantee this kid is coming back in the future, because they're going to definitely make more of these. I mean, it's made like 3 times its budget already. We're definitely going to get another one of these.
Yeah. I have to admit, man, like by the end of it, I was like,
just then.
I remember why I kind of stopped this watching.
Yeah. It's very much felt like a homage to the things that you kind of like the cliches and the bad things that you kind of remember about this franchise. It very much kind of just went right back into those just so seamlessly. And yeah, I was ready for this movie to end. So
And
much
then
so that I left when the movie ended, and then when I was researching or just reading up on this article about the traps, it turns out there's another one after the credits that I didn't see.
Fuck's sake, I fucking missed that as well.
So it turns out that the guy with the chest thing is Jigsaw goes back to get him, right? Because he set him up for the whole thing.
Oh, that makes sense, doesn't it?
And yeah, and apparently there's an after credit scene. You see that dude
stay in the
in a
fucking
trap,
theater,
and then it ends.
You just gotta wait for
That's it.
everything.
I just live there now. I mean, I finally pulled the trigger and did the Cineworld Plus fucking thing. So I might as well just move in at this point. Nice. I don't know. Have we got anything else to say about this? Because I feel like.
No, I mean, other than like, I was just gonna say, like, obviously, yeah, the other traps, which was literally that radiation therapy thing
which doesn't affect everyone in the whole fucking room. Like, it just affects her. It's radiation.
Yeah. And again, like, you know, you could see that Amanda character was trying to sort of almost sympathize with the girl because she was a drug addict as well, and that's the whole.
Yeah, and that girl, by the way, is by far Gabriella. Is if that's the character or the actress, his name. But she's by far the most like relatable kind of character that you want to root for, but she doesn't really come into it until like the last like half an hour or 45 minutes or so.
I think she's just the lesser evil, isn't she?
She's very much the lesser evil, but I thought the performance was good. I don't know, I kind of felt connected to that character a little bit, and during that whole part of the movie where we'd kind of disconnected from the character study of Jigsaw and it was just turning into nonsense, she really kind of kept me locked in as much as she could. And I would have liked more of her in the movie previous, and then that really would have kept you anchored, you know what I mean, through the third act. But she was by far the strongest, most, you know, likable person in the movie. But yeah, the fucking radiation thing is ridiculous. Like, it's everywhere. It's in the room. You're all dead. You're all pissing out fucking warts for the rest of your life. That's it. You're done.
It literally felt like it was just there so that the, you know, bitch face McGee could fucking snap on her neck and make you see how evil she was, you know.
Yeah. And also, if you're connected by your arm and your leg, don't start doing the leg first, you fucking idiot. What do you think you're going to do after that when you've done the fucking leg or the arm rather, and you're just hanging there upside down in front of a fucking radiation thing? Somebody even says to her, "No, do the other one first."
The fucking bitch face.
That's a bad idea when bitch face is giving you fucking quality advice.
Well, it's obviously so she couldn't run away. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Either way,
and then we get to the last trap. Is it the next trap after that with the head in the gas and the
with the mask?
It's not really. It's not much of a finale, is it?
Not really. Well, no. I guess like we're left with fucking, you know, bitch face with her head out the fucking hole when she's in the room being gassed.
Yeah.
And I thought, they left that open so one of them could possibly survive, which I'm sure
guaranteed. If they don't definitively die on screen, it's comic book laws. They will probably be back. The kid will be back.
Yeah.
She will probably be back as well.
So can you fill me in on what this last trap was then?
Okay. So I don't know if it says the specifics. Let me pull that up, and then we're going to give this a rating out of 5 fingers.
Okay.
So radiation, blood waterboarding, gas chamber, you know.
Definitely cutting this out.
Okay, so he's in a he's suspended in the air and he's attached to a contraption that has a series of blades that are going to be cutting in circles into his stomach. And then John Kramer is joined by Mark Hoffman, who's one of the characters from the earlier movies.
Yeah.
Who walks out and is like standing next to him, and then just as the blades or they're about to start telling him the trap and everything's about to kick off, it just cuts to black. But we know that dude's dead. That's it. He's done. So you don't really see the trap or how it plays out. It's kind of just implied. But yeah, I'm bummed that am I? I don't know. Maybe I needed those extra 5 minutes in my life, you know, to feel good about myself. But yeah. What are we saying here? Out of 5 fingers, 2. Yeah, 2.5, 2.5 out of 5 fingers. If I'm being generous. Yeah, I think
for me, I am feeling generous. I have to admit, when I walked out of there, I was like, oh yeah, that wasn't bad, you know.
I was the same. I thought it was okay, but
I started thinking about it.
Yeah, after a couple of days, it kind of just really just fell apart. And again, you know, it's a Saw movie. Of course, it's convoluted, but at least the other ones managed to be convoluted in a much more entertaining and consistent way, I guess. And this one just didn't quite know which angle it kind of wanted to come at it from, and it just fell a little bit short, and it's disappointing. But you know, if they make another one, which I think they will, I'd be interested again. Probably they'll get me again to see what they're going to do next, and maybe we get something. You know, there's always room for improvement, I guess. And you can't really do another in-betweenquel, I don't think. Maybe you could do one that was in between 2 and 3, maybe. But I think it's time to, like, if you're going to carry this on, just let's get away from these characters. Let's start a new page, you know, and maybe we can kind of reinvent the franchise and go from there. But until then, wasn't great.
Yeah. But
anyway, is that all we got on that?
Yeah.
So following Shaw Talk, we're talking Shaw. We're gonna have a little commercial break, and then we're going to be back. We're going to talk about The Exorcist. The Exorcist. It all comes together. Commercial break, and then that movie, for better or worse.
Monster Munch from Smith's in 3 flavors. The biggest snack pennies can buy.
Cheddar Goblin by Devane has 60% more cheese than the next leading brand.
I'd buy that for $1.
Are you troubled by strange noises in the middle of the night?
Hey, Jack, now, you get a free demon possession with every exorcism. You can't beat that, can you?
And we're back.
We are back. Like demons from hell from the 70s. We are coming back to fuck your shit up.
Indeed.
And
yeah. So
I saw this movie. You didn't see this movie. I don't want to spill the beans too early because I'd like to build up the thing. Okay, so was it good or not good that you didn't see this movie? Let's kind of dive into that.
Start with a quick little retrospective on The Exorcist.
Let's set the scene, build up let's get to it. Yeah, let's get there naturally.
All of the sequels. Just gonna run through. Obviously, you've seen the original.
Yeah, we know the original.
1973 classic. Willie Friedkin, based off of the novel by another Willie, William Peter Blatty.
The European names really fucking us up tonight.
Blatty.
Or
Black,
wherever
black.
they may be from, just names. We just don't
I
like
believe they're
names.
American, but but yeah. So it's not much that hasn't been said about the classic cause mass hysteria. I'll make a note. I had to check with my mum because she said she was about 15 when she saw this in the cinema, and she actually saw it in Georgetown, where it was originally filmed.
Oh, that's pretty cool and fun.
Yeah. And
nice
she
touch.
recalls having, the infamous fucking nuns approach her as soon as she came out of the screening, trying to get her to repent her sins and whatnot.
Rumor has it she's still in the screening now, waiting for the post-credit scene.
This is why I was raised by television. Yeah. So, following the events of the first film, we had Exorcist 2: The Heretic, which brought back Linda Blair, and apparently she wasn't too happy to be in there, and she refused to actually have any of the special effects makeup applied to her, so they had a stand-in for it.
Oh,
and,
that film absolutely fucked her up, man. Like,
oh yeah, no, yeah,
for sure. Like,
well, yeah, she had some serious issues,
especially
even
being like growing up in like in Middle America at that time as a young girl, like, and the nature of the film. Not only is it just like you've got to be like in a scary movie and have like gnarly shit on your face and goop and blood and all this kind of other stuff, but just like the kind of moral and spiritual kind of weight of the whole thing. And she had to see the nuns waiting outside, like when you're being like having it ingrained into you that this thing that you did was is evil, and not just like in horror movie sense, but like evil, and you're fucking part of that, and you're a fucking 12-year-old girl, and you had to fucking do all the crazy makeup shit and crawl backwards down the stairs and then go out your front door and get harassed in your fucking day-to-day life. There's no surprise she didn't want to come back for this.
Well, yeah, no, it's not so much that. It's she actually, she didn't want to go through all the unnecessary, or what she would deem unnecessary bullshit. Yeah, it's fair to say though her career was plagued by fucking exploitative, figures, and
but then
she was thrown through the ringer. And
she did do Repossessed though, which was like the parody movie.
True,
so
yeah,
maybe assume that was quite cathartic for her. I think maybe that was her way of like processing it and kind of just like giving a middle finger back to the past kind of situation. You know what I mean?
I can't speak on her.
We don't know her. She wouldn't come on. She won't respond to my emails. Linda, please.
Well, if she wasn't going to be in Exorcist, the Believer, I don't think you got a chance in hell. The power of Christ, isn't it?
Maybe she's referenced in the movie. Maybe
we're
there's some images.
So fucking far off here, man. I was trying to make this brief, but basically the second one was fucking awful. From I tried to watch it for a second time because I didn't get to watch Believer, and I'd watched a screening of the original film last week.
Yeah,
in a local Odeon because they had it screened again. Which unfortunately the audio was fucking terrible, and they didn't bring the house lights down properly for the whole film.
Oh mate,
which kind of
that's the worst.
Fuck with the vibe a bit as well, but regardless, it was nice to see it on the big screen. And following that, I thought, it holds up as well. The original does. It still has some weight, even though like some of the things that were deemed so shocking originally, are almost comedic now.
I think my issue with the first one is like it was built up so fucking much. It's like this is the ultimate terrifying thing that you can ever see. This is gonna ruin you. And then by the time I did see it, you kind of like that 15, 16-year-old, like you're too cool for school teenager, you're getting stoned with your friends, and then she's just fucking bouncing around on the bed and you're just kind of laughing, but you're not really absorbing the atmosphere. And then again, you come back later on and then you kind of, you're kind of more like morally and kind of socially aware, as an adult, and then like some of that fear definitely comes back in. So I would definitely like to revisit it in the big screen setting, because I don't have my memories of this movie aren't scary, but I know it's scary. I know it's well executed. I know it's well done, and I definitely want to get that. And maybe I'll be checking that out soon. So we'll see.
Oh yeah. Anyway, briefly on the one positive I could glean, or slight positive, from the second. I don't want to say positive. They attempt to explain how Pazuzu the demon was attracted to Reagan, in that actually they say that
Well, she was a
was
12-year-old in Hollywood. Of course, he was attracted to her. Boom.
Oh, he was a producer.
He was a producer for Pazuzu Weinstein is his full name. Moving on.
No. Anyway, yeah, it's said that it's revealed that Pazuzu latches onto people with healing psychic abilities, and that Reagan supposedly had these abilities, and it's not.
Which
really,
kind of takes the whole point of takes the horror out of the whole thing, though, right? Because the scary part is this just evil as an entity can just infiltrate and just become part of your life, or maybe it's already a part of your life, and it can kind of bubble up no matter where you are, who you are. So to kind of say that, oh no, but she had spiritual powers or connections, kind of sucks all the life out of that. But let's quickly touch on. Do you want to do Exorcist 3? Was you going to talk about that as well? Because I've heard that's okay.
It's fucking great, to be honest.
There we go. It's fucking great. Everyone heard it here first.
That was the one I was going to talk about. I will, I'll keep it brief here and maybe, add to some thoughts afterwards. But yeah, basically, so you had that absolute mess, Exorcist 2, The Heretic. It was critically and financially just like panned. It was not good. So fast forward to 1990, you had Exorcist 3, which was based off of another, a continuation in the novels Legion by the same author, William Peter Blatty, and he actually he developed screenplay and directed the film. And you have the returning characters of Father Dyer and the Lieutenant William F. Kinderman, who was, the character from the first film. But they're played by different actors. George C. Scott, who fucking just turns in a fucking tour de force performance. It's hammy, but it's just great. And him and Father Dyer's just like back and forth is just brilliant, and it's a different take on the demon, the possession side. And there's it's more like a serial killer. There's these murder cases going on. I won't spoil it, but basically it's all linked to the Father Karras, who returns, and it is the same actor from the original, Peter Miller. You see him in the psychiatric ward after the events of the first film. But yeah, just to keep it brief, that continues the plot with the same characters from the original film, but with some different elements of horror thrown in. And
seasoning.
I almost prefer it to rewatch than the original.
Oh wow, I'm definitely going to be checking this one out.
I highly recommend it. It has one of what people say is like one of the best jump scares of all time. And yeah, even though I do complain about jump scares, they have their place. And this one, like, is still, it got me the other night watching it. I watched it last night. And like, even though I know like roughly the sort of time, it's just like, it's still got me. But yeah, it's just a really effective, it's a great film. But after that, you didn't have anything for a while. And then you got a couple of films in a couple of years. Exorcist to the beginning in 2004.
I forgot about that one.
And then, yeah, Dominion, prequel to The Exorcist, 2005. 4 and 5, they were both, you know, again, financial and critical failures. There's this, they were directed by Paul Schrader, who I had to look him up because I was like, I know the name.
I know that name, yeah.
Yeah, well, you know him because he wrote Taxi Driver. He's written a lot of like big old films. He also wrote a film. What, sir?
I was going to say, so this is like he's an old school Hollywood dude who just like didn't direct anything until this. Then
no, he definitely directed other.
Oh, he did direct stuff before.
But he was primarily a writer coming up, and he actually wrote. He wrote not only Taxi Driver, he wrote Raging Bull, and he seems to have a bit of a connection there with Robert De Niro on a lot of projects. But he also wrote a film which ties into bringing it back to George C. Scott called Hardcore. I don't know if you ever heard of this film.
I've heard of this.
It's fucking, oh man, I just want to touch on it quickly because it's just like one of the most fucking like, it's super like 70s exploitation film.
Yeah.
About a father whose daughter goes missing. He tries to track her down. It turns out she's got herself into, maybe not so willingly, into the hardcore pornography business. And there's a scene.
Not about that.
No, there's a scene where George C. Scott is, subjected to watching his daughter performing in one of these, and the reaction is priceless. The acting, George C. Scott, man, he's a veteran. Well,
some of these people just low key, just fucking really putting in, some pretty great work over the decades, and you just don't hear their names that much, really. These kind of 70s, early 80s character actor types, but they definitely deserve their due. They don't deserve that. Nobody does.
No,
I feel uncomfortable just hearing you talk about it.
For any parent, yeah. But anyway, I do remember watching Exorcist the beginning. I don't remember. I just looked up. I was looking at the cast, and there's David Bradley, the old guy from Hot Fuzz, the old farmer that no one can understand a word of. August Filch probably is actually the more fucking memorable.
From Harry Potter.
Harry Potter, yeah.
Yeah, he's not the caretaker. He's the he's the caretaker. Yeah, with the cat. Yeah. I don't know, man. Harry Potter. I know a little bit.
Not only is he, a famed old British character actor, Alan Ford is also in it. Bricktop.
I know Alan Ford. Yeah, good stuff.
But yeah, like I said, both of those films, 4 and 5, financial and critical failures.
Yeah, you stop me again while I'm walking, I cut your fucking bollocks off. or something to that effect. Yeah, and that's what happened to these movies, I guess.
Yeah. Somewhat castrated. That brings us to the 6th installment.
To the 6th and most recent installment is Exorcist Believer. I thought it was Exorcist the Believer, but essentially it's just Exorcist Believer. This is directed by David Gordon Green, who did the Halloween, the new Halloween trilogy, to mixed commercial and critical response at best, I would say. Rumor has it he didn't really necessarily want to do this, or he did, but then there was a lot of behind the scenes shenanigans that kind of made him not want to do this. This is part of a proposed trilogy, to which the distribution rights were actually like very expensive. I don't know if they're going to make their money back on that. I mean, this movie will do fine, I think. Budget of 30 million. So far, we're looking at like a 45 to 50 million range. So this is already in the green, as it were. No pun intended. But not really any of that in this, to be honest. I mean, there's a little bit of a reference to it, but it's fairly slow moving to start off with. We to be honest, I want to say this up top. You've seen the trailers. You've basically seen the movie. The critical response, not to give away my overall opinion on this, but the critical response to this movie has not been very good. I think it's on like 39% on Rotten Tomatoes or something like that. Unfortunately. So we start off and we are with Leslie Odom Jr. as the father of Angela, played by Lydia Jewett. Their relationship is, for the first half of this movie, is very much the crux of this. It's nothing special, right? These characters aren't going to stick with you, but their relationship just felt sweet and wholesome and reasonably authentic, and you're rooting for them. We spend a lot of time with them. We don't spend a lot of time with the other family of the other kid, who's who's the white girl with she's got the dad and the mum. We've early on in this movie we get a little bit of like a backstory of where Lydia's or Angela's mum is, or where she went, or why she's not around necessarily anymore, and we don't really do a lot with that as we go along until much later in the movie, and then we kind of bring those elements back in of like that relationship and like what the relationship was like with the dad and the mum, before she went away for non-spoilery reasons that I won't get into. But yeah, and I really liked hanging out with him and the kid. We didn't spend any time really with the other family in their house and their kind of day-to-day life. The moments that we do get with them, the parents are quite good, but Leslie Odom Jr. unfortunately is a little bit flat. He doesn't really bring anything to this. I don't really feel the weight of what's going on. And most of the characters don't really seem to be reacting much at all to kind of what's going on. Just very dry, deadpan kind of vibe. Like, as you were just saying about like with one of the previous ones, like these two girls, they go out playing after school. One tells the other one that she's going to be going to her house, and the other one, the classic what teenagers are going to do, where they want to go and like hang out all night and do things, which turns out is just a casual pagan ritual, because these kids apparently know how. There's no indication that they would know what that is or how to do that, but they're just like, oh yeah, we're just going to go off and we're not just going to have a sleepover and watch scary movies. We're going to go into the fucking woods and we're going to fucking read Bible passages and swirl fucking watches on fucking dirt pendulums or whatever the fuck it is they're doing. All right, they go missing for 3 days and they come back and things aren't quite the same. And problem is, not a lot happens for most of this movie. It's very slow, and you can feel like they're trying to like half-heartedly grab like the tone of the original, but it just meanders. There's too many characters, too many subplots. There's a whole thing with like an old Haitian lady who's like a spiritual lady. There's a thing with a pastor. There's a thing with a priest who doesn't really, obviously it's an Exorcist movie, you've got to have a priest in this. He's not really in it that much. He's not brought in till very late on in the game, and even then it's for a glorified cameo.
Ellen Burstyn was that?
And then let's get to Ellen Burstyn. So I mean, yeah, I mean, somebody get her some eyes, because this movie slaps her in the face pretty fucking hard, to be honest with you. She's in like 2 scenes, she's in more than 2 scenes, but it's like they got her for like a couple of days on these 2 different sets. We're just going to film her in these 2 different locations, and she doesn't really have much impact on the plot whatsoever. And again, they introduce too many characters. They don't quite know what they're doing, and it bites off more than it can chew. Some of the stuff is interesting, but we're just not getting the time to delve into it. We're not getting to, like I said, we're not getting time with the other girl and her family and what their relationship in their dynamic is like at home. So as a result, you don't feel like the weight of the switch like you do with what's her name, Angela, and Victor. So yeah, and there's this whole thing about like, you know, it's like, is it a story about like refinding your faith, or is it a story about like it doesn't matter where your faith is as long as you have it? Just yeah, we repeat a lot of the beats from, you know, that there's a lot of shots of just like suburban trees, and it's all very Exorcist-y, Georgia, you know, that kind of vibe to it. There's jump scares in this, which the very first shot of this movie, all right, this sums it up pretty well. The very first opening shot of this movie, it starts with a jump scare, and it's it does the thing with the 2 dogs are fighting, right? Which kind of like homages to the original.
Yeah.
But it's not jump scaring that it's like scary, it's just like disorientating. It's like they'll go from like a light or like a nighttime scene, and then they'll cut to like a really busy like urban setting, and it's the middle of the day, the sun's bright, and all the fucking car horns and the traffic, and it just really relies on that kind of, you know, like 101 light and shade kind of dynamics, to try and like create, you know, tension and release, which it doesn't do particularly effectively. I'm trying to not spoil this because I do want you to see this, and I want you to come back and talk about this.
Sure.
So I'm not going to do spoilers for this. There's a lady in this who maybe she's in the first one. They kind of treat her like she is, like you're supposed to know who she is and care about her. She's like a would-be nun, but now she's just like a neighbor, but also she works at the hospital. She's just conveniently everywhere in this fucking movie.
What was that?
Can't see here which one that is, but I don't know any of these names, but
is it an older lady? Yeah,
it's the old lady. Yeah. But
it's not Ellen Burstyn.
No, it's not. It's some other old lady, and she's like, she's basically there as a plot device. She's like, I haven't seen anything like this before, except maybe one time, and she gives our main character a book that Ellen Bernstein is Reagan's mum has written,
right?
Where she's this like world-renowned author and respected, or you know, known about like authority on exorcism, even though she says it in the movie, and this is true continuity wise. She says it in the movie. I didn't actually see an exorcism myself. I wasn't allowed in the room for that.
Yeah.
Which is, she wasn't there. That's fine. But I've done a lot of research since it happened. So you just read other people's books, like, and then
she doesn't return to the series in the second film. Reagan has like a guardian, and she's like in and out of psychiatric.
Yeah. They explain away the Reagan absence. They're like, well, she's written this book documenting her experiences, even though she says, like, I didn't really see anything, or, you know, she didn't see the exorcism, at least. So because she's written this book, that's created the divide with her and her daughter Reagan. So they're not speaking and they don't see each other anymore. But it just felt like a very glaring, obvious, like, plot device of like, well, we're not having her in this movie.
So we
need to do something. And yeah, by the time we get to like the actual stuff, like, it's just so long in the tooth. Like, it felt like you could have shaved off probably like half an hour and like 2 or 3 of the characters out of this movie, and it wouldn't be great, but it would at least be kind of concise and, you know, just kind of have a point to it, and that's fine. But the horror elements, there's a couple of homages to like the classic moments that everyone knows from the original. You know, there is a green vomit reference. There is a, you know, maybe there's a head twist in here, which is quite, the head twist doesn't come in the form that you would expect it to. There's 1 or 2 moments like that where there's a moment with a cross that you think it's going to go in one way like the original movie did, and then it kind of does a completely different thing, and it was shocking, but ultimately didn't really add anything to the. In fact, I would say it actually kind of takes away from the movie. Again, not to get into spoilers.
All right.
But to wrap it up, this ain't good. It's not good. How many crosses out of I can't use my original rating system because that would be a spoiler. But you know, things are taken. There are consequences to this. You know, it doesn't all just wrap up in a perfect bow. That doesn't make it good. That doesn't, you know, not to say like it ends up in an unexpected way. It just kind of fizzles out, really. So yeah, 1 out of 5, mate. I'm sorry, I have to do it, but this is a 1 out of 5 movie. Not a lot happens.
Yeah.
I can't wait to talk to you about it though, because I think there's going to be some fun discussion to be had when you've seen this.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to make it to the cinema in time to see it.
That's fine.
But I'll get to it, and yeah, I have to be honest. Like, from the trailers alone, I kind of just, you know, it wasn't filling me with excitement at all. I was, in fact, kind of dreading having to go because it was not at a local cinema, so
yeah,
make the drive and pay extra money to. You know,
I was not expecting Shaw to be the better of these 2 movies, to be honest with you, at all, and marginally so. But yeah, at least the first half of Shaw was compelling, and 90% of this wasn't compelling. So the power of Christ did not compel me this time.
Right? Was it not that compelling?
Yeah. So, you know, go fuck yourself in hell with, you know, your mother's dicks and all of that stuff. Whatever it is you're gonna do. because I ain't seeing it again. I'm not saying I'd rather do that other thing, but maybe, but definitely not. But still, it's bad.
Yeah. Well, as we're on, still in the realm of Pazuzu and demonic entities, and I alluded to it already. There's the recommendations for this week for all the horror. Is Exorcist 3 is like, I can't recommend it.
Yeah,
enough.
I've heard this recommended by a couple of like critics and stuff that I follow online or whatever that have said like this is the hot take one. This is the the unsung hero of the franchise. Some people say like maybe even as good as the first one, which is kind of like almost what you said as far as like rewatch value goes.
Yeah, it's definitely more fun. I say, like I said, George is fucking hamming it up.
Yeah,
he's not the only one. Like, yeah, that's it. I didn't get to it. Like, long story short, I said he's the lieutenant from the original film, and you got Father Dyer, who I don't even remember. Like, he's always trying to get people to come and watch films with him, go to the cinema with him. He invites at least 2 characters in the original film to come and watch a movie with him, and no one seems to really take him up on it. I thought, well, at least you don't know. It's revealed in the 3rd film that him and his buddy, the lieutenant, have been meeting up and regularly making trips to the cinema to watch It's a Wonderful Life
for their podcast, obviously.
Yeah, well, Father Dyer, he reveals to one of the other priests, I can't remember that priest's name, but it's just a little bit of dialogue that he's saying, I'm going to watch It's a Wonderful Life. I've seen it 37 times. The other priest is like, that's commendable. And he's like, what's your favorite thing? And he just says, The Fly, like so dryly and dismissively. And he's just like, they like smile it off. But yeah, the back and forth between him and, George C. Scott, which, by the way, yeah, Father Dyer, like those 2 characters, it was distracting. The first time I watched it, I did not clock that these are the returning characters until it was the cinema thing, and I was like, oh yeah, that's that motif, which is kind of comedic. It's like a fun little playful, wholesome little character arc or quirk that Friedkin, I'm guessing, chucked in. I'm not sure. I actually ordered the book
because you throw that in because it very much humanizes these people, and it just it's just such a mundane kind of everyday kind of character trait that it just really brings you into that suburban kind of element. And again, fucking 30 years later, you're still talking about it. In 30 seconds, I won't be able to remember anything about any of the characters in Believer. So, maybe one of them should have had a podcast and gone to see a movie from time to time.
Yeah. But yeah, I didn't get into that. It was so Brad Dourif, who most people famously know him as the voice of Chucky. He's no stranger to the horror genre. He's been like House. He's been
the star of Alien Resurrection.
Yeah, there you go. Not one of the better titles, but he's also in. This is one of the later credits. He's in the Rob Zombie Halloween remakes, or the first, or both of them, the 2 that he did.
I mean, I was kind of put off going to see those before I ever got the chance to, so I just never visited those. So
I watched the first one in the cinema, and I remember people like fucking just walking out, like
really. Bad,
like it was. Well, some of the fucking it's Rob Zombie's, his like almost like white trash charm, like trying to bring. He really ramps up. He brings like the backstory of Michael as like this stereotypical child in a fucking broken home. He's damaged by that, which a lot of people argue was fucking part of
goes against
the allure. of the Michael Myers.
He's just an
kid.
evil that's in him, right?
Yeah.
So to have it say that, oh well, he was beaten, so now he's mean. Yeah, it does kind of suck it out. But anyway, major sidebar. I do apologise.
I'd say check them out, man. Like the second one.
Maybe I'll get to one of those towards the end of the month for a reco. So we'll see.
But yeah, bringing it back to Brad Dourif.
Brad Dourif.
Yeah, because you got the Damien Karras, who's the priest who helps with the exorcism, falls down the stairs at the end of the original film, and you find him. He's in, psych ward, and Lieutenant, George C. Scott's character gets wind that he's referring to himself as this Gemini killer, and there's these murders happening that fit the MO of this killer who was said to have been executed by electric chair. So they're like, well, it's obviously not him. He's a copycat killer. And it gets revealed throughout the course of the film. I don't want to spoil too much. But these killings are going on, and it's not one person. And Damien Karras, the priest who's in the psych ward, when he interacts with Kinderman, the George C. Scott's character, he changes appearance, and he literally, the actor changes to Brad Dourif, who's this Gemini killer, and he's, possessing the entities, or Pazuzu, even though it's not referred to as Pazuzu at any point, I don't believe, in the film. He's taken over, he's possessing people, and he's possessing the priest, and he appears as Brad Dourif, and he's fucking, playing it to the cheap seats, fucking, like, I want to say hamming it up, but he's going for it. And there's some really great performances all around in the film. And like I said, the Father Dyer character, and his back and forth with Kinderman, their relationship is really, it's quite wholesome. And Ed Flanders is the name of the actor who took over the role for Father Dyer, and he's just so flippant, and it's just not like what you'd expect of a priest. His behavior, like he's smoking cigarettes when he's in the fucking hospital, and he's just like, his banter's just like fucking. He's a cool priest, and you root for him, and but
which I've never rooted for a priest in my life. To be honest,
not at all, ever. And you feel bad for him. And like I think I've briefly mentioned it. There's like the smallest cameo from Samuel Jackson.
Right? Yeah, you said he's in it for like a few seconds or something.
He's literally like, there's a dream sequence where Kinderman's like dreaming of heaven, and there's these characters that have died throughout the course of the film.
Yeah,
and they show up in his dream in heaven, and it's pretty cool, like depiction of heaven, where they've got like in like a big train station or airports, they have like the destination board with like the times and platforms, and that it's like heaven, but then it's got all the destinations are like Earth and all these other like places. It's almost like the waiting room of heaven.
Yeah.
Like,
have you? I think this is completely random, but I think it's Bill Burr does this whole bit on heaven, right?
Right.
And it's just like, heaven must be the worst place in the world, because all you're doing in heaven is waiting for all the people that you love to get to heaven, but the people that the people who don't get there, they're not in heaven.
Yeah.
So all you're doing is spending eternity thinking about all the people that aren't there, who obviously, if they're not there, they must be burning in the other place. So that must be really fucking shit.
Well, that's
waiting.
This dream like depiction of it is pretty like bizarre, and like it doesn't look like a fun place to be, by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, Samuel Jackson's just like a blind person and it's like there's someone trying to like communicate with through like a headset, and some like machines trying to communicate with Earth, and they're like, come in Earth, and he's just like, I think he has like one line, he's like, the living are death, or something. So
That's pretty
it's a
good.
strange voice, but yeah.
So what we're saying is that Exorcist 3 is like the season of the witch of the franchise.
In a way, but yeah,
That's the
as far as
vibe
I
I'm
know,
getting.
it brought it back. It did the opposite of that, like in terms of fandom, like because obviously the second one did very poorly and
Drove it away, yeah.
Yeah, William Peter Blatty brought it home, but I don't think it was a massive commercial like success, but it did better than the second one.
Yeah,
yeah, that's my recommendation. I can't recommend it enough, really.
Enough. Absolutely, I'm down. And obviously, you know, being a regular person, I'm gonna have to watch 2 before I watch 3. So now I'm
it's
sucked
worth it.
into that.
I didn't mention that James L. Jones is in the second one, and
Oh, tasty! That'll do as well.
some
That'll get me going.
Fun scenes with him. So
yeah,
there's
that'll keep me going until I get to the Samuel Jackson of the third one, and hopefully some quality stuff. But we got to wrap this up. This is like a 2-hour plus show, which we've done a couple of times here on the Poproast podcast. Please like and subscribe. Click on the comments. Type in that little bar down there. If you like The Exorcist, have you seen the new one? What's your favorite Shaw trap? You know, any kind of thing that relates to anything that we're talking about here on today's show. Go ahead and leave a little sample of your thoughts there for us to peruse later on. While you're doing that, I'm going to throw my recommendation in, and I'm going to talk about James Wan's Malignant from 2021, I believe. I saw this movie and I was expecting just another like paranormal conjuring, yada, 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 this bullshit that I do not like, I do not vibe with, not my bag. And I was so fucking surprised, man. And I don't want to talk about this too much because the less you know about this, the better. But it kind of relates to, you know, some of the stuff we've been talking about, because, you know, you've got this woman, she's in this house, there's some gnarly shit going on, you know. Is somebody possessed? Is the house possessed? Is it something more physical, more real? The mystery is revealed quite in a very fun way as it goes through the movie. It's like this takes itself super seriously, but also it's got this like crazy like 80s like ridiculous B-movie vibe, you know, if you like Evil Dead or if you like Basket Case, you know, those kinds of like zany movies, but they're also really dark and disturbing, but also like just wild and crazy and fun at the same time. Malignant has all of that. It, in my opinion, it is one of the coolest like horror kind of characters or entities that we've seen in a very long time. Very good movie, crazy good soundtrack, really well shot. There's some great visuals and fantastic like set building, and like the camera work throughout like the set that they built of like this house in rainy Seattle.
Oh man, I love some of those shots in that, like the bird's eye view of like, there's like a shot where the woman runs up the stairs.
Have you seen this?
Like, yeah, I watched it for the second time actually, like last week.
Oh wow!
So,
yeah, where that shot where she's running through the house and it follows top down. Yeah, there's so much stuff like that. There's a couple of really cool twists in here. It sets up
camera movement stuff.
Yeah, it sets up a couple of plot threads that kind of throw you off, but it doesn't feel like they wasted your time by the time you get to what the actual thing is at the end. Like I say, keeping this brief, because I really, if you're going to go and watch this movie, don't know any more than that. Just know that you are in for a fucking fantastic time. So
check
definitely
it out.
go check that out. And once you've done that, come back and start typing away again and tell us what you thought of that as well, because we want to know, and we want to know what you want us to talk about. Recommend us some horror films.
By all
You
means,
know,
yeah. Always
what would
looking.
you recommend us some stuff to talk about, some stuff to watch? You know, there's so much spooky shit going on. You know, there's not enough. There's not enough spookiness to go around in just one episode. We're going to come back next week and we're going to talk about a whole bunch of other spooky shit. Hopefully some more news stories, some more trailers. We've been a little bit light on that this week because there is fucking none, basically. And
one,
anything else, George, before we get out of here?
Not a lot. Same
Not
shit.
a lot. That's
Let
what
us
you
know.
want.
Tell us some more. Yeah, by all means, more new spooky films. Not so spooky.
Old,
Anything.
new, weird, or just like, you know, classics that maybe we should have another look at. Anything you can think of, get that shit down in the comments. Share this shit, like it, click the little bell, because that bell is your friend, because it tells you when the next one is coming. Okay,
Yeah.
Follow us on the socials at the Poproast podcast, on all the main ones, really. And we'll see you all next week. Peace.
Later.